make sure everybody's up and at 'em and doing all right after the storms last night. As you can see, we got the steps back on. They are much stiffer. Hey, good morning. Welcome back to Ohrmundt Simmentals. All right, we're starting out in the shop. Mother Nature has decided to say, hey, winter's not over yet. We had storms come through last night right here at the farm. Not such a big deal. A lot of rain, probably got over an inch again, if not more. But literally just 15 miles. Yeah, 10, 15 miles straight southeast. A town called Ringel. Actually, we drive through Ringel or past Ringel. Every time we head towards the Shawano area, it's right off the highway. There was a tornado over there. And then they had a couple of tornadoes, maybe about a half hour west of us. So that cold front has come through, and this morning we're in like the 30s. So we're back to insulated pants, we're back to sweatshirt and the thermal flannel. And we're going to work on the 42 this morning just because it is pretty trashy outside. And not only is it in the 30s, it's really windy too. So it's, it sucks. And today is also Bethany's birthday. So I know this is going to be like 3-4 weeks later. And yes, I did wish her happy birthday already, but Bethany, happy birthday, babe. And I was already out this morning. She got her McDonald's coffee because she likes her McDonald's coffee. And that's how I know it's windy, because it was pushing the truck around. Dad did spend a little bit of time here the other day when I had to run and pick up the dog. So this is part of what we're going to do with the 44 and the steps and kind of stiffen them up a little bit. So we've got this plate. This is 1/4 inch, I think, or is this 1/2 inch? Let's take a look. I'm gonna grab the calipers. Oh, that is 1/2 inch. So Dad got some chunks of 1/2 inch plate, and we're gonna drill some holes, or probably could cut some holes, honestly, with the cut fit. The steps will be able, the plate on the steps will push up against here and up on here. And then if I take you outside, that plate is going to get bolted on. So it'll get bolted on like from here to here. So the toolbox was right here. But we'll bolt that on in what, 4-6 places. And that will definitely stiffen that guy up. All right, so we're working on drilling the holes for the plate. We got them pre-drilled. And now we're just putting the big hole in. A little bit of a setback. We actually forgot that we needed to fix the switch on the bench grinder so Dad could sharpen the bits. So. So we drilled our holes in the plate and found out that we're just a smidge off. If we set one hole, then these 2 holes are actually dead nuts. So these are the ones that go right behind the steps mounting. And then this one is actually for a 3rd one. Dad wants to put a bolt on the backside, a stud, so we can bolt that there too. But these holes here are all like a 1/4 inch off for some reason. So we're gonna slot these 2 to shift this all over. And that's where the Arc Captain Cut 50 comes in. So this is 1/2 inch steel, so I cranked her up a little bit. I just threw her right to 50 amps. Smell better?
Yeah.
Well, we got it. We did have to change the tip out. The old one was a little bit, it was dirty and just wasn't cutting right. Put the new tip on and it did a much better job. 1/2 inch, probably the limits for this. Not the greatest cut in the world, but it still did it. All right, we are back in the shop. Took a smidge of a break. And last thing we did was we primed this, which this already feels nice and dry. We did weld a stud on it. So this is what, well, we had slotted these out. They're not perfect. I think we kind of hit the limit a little bit for the Arc Captain 50, which is fine. I mean, this is 1/2 inch material. So, I mean, what do you really expect? This is rare that I don't really know why I got the 1/2 inch material. But this 1/2 inch material, so the fact that it didn't cut the greatest, we had to change the tip out. That really helped. The old tip was starting to get a little bit marred up and wasn't it wasn't flowing right. Like the air was like coming out and pushing this way, so then the arc was kind of traveling in a J. But then to weld that stud on, we broke out the Arc Captain MiG 200, and that worked really good. Dad did do, when he welded 2 halves together, he used his Hobart, his stick welder, because you can kind of see it. There's a seam here. So this was one chunk, and then this is another chunk. That he broke out the stick. He wanted to use some 70-18 rods, but he didn't have any, but whatever. But he said for the stud, he wanted to grab the MiG 200. So that worked really nice. All right, silage time for the cows. Let's make sure everybody's up and at 'em and doing all right after the storms last night. We had a couple cracks that were a little close, but nothing that was as bad as last summer. But looks like everybody's moving. Got to move the mineral feeder again, looks like. Well, everybody got another round of bedding tonight. Bulls got some bedding. Gave them a 1/2 a bale, and then took the other 1/2 a bale and put it in the barn. Main group of calves, they got another straw bale. Their mound is getting huge. And then we also let the 2 pairs in the back pen, we let them out. They've been back there, I don't know, 4 days, 5 days, so that's long enough. And the weather is decent enough and gonna get better. So they've got pens 1, 2, and 3, so they have plenty of space to go along with Share Bear there. So that's good. Anything to get them or give them the ability to get out into the sun a little bit, the sooner we can do that, the better. Tomorrow's gonna be a little bit in the shop because starting out, because we got to put the steps back on since that paint will be dry. We'll get our plate and everything. I have to actually get some bolts tonight. I got to stop at Fleet. I got to get some specific bolts. And then tomorrow we need to grind corn because we've been out for the last 2 days. So tomorrow we need to grind corn. And honestly, it keeps popping up in our head. Every time we have to grind corn, it's like this is a weekend we could be doing something else. Like we could be cleaning the yard, Now, we still might be able to get to some of that tomorrow. Might be able to get like this north of the border cleaned out and cleaning barn. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But it is the end of the day, and it is Bethany's birthday, and she is a sushi girl, so we're heading to the other side of town to a restaurant that we went actually last year for her birthday, and it was her first time there, and she really liked it. So we're heading back there. She's gonna have sushi. I am not a sushi person, but they have some stuff that I like too. So we're gonna go celebrate her birthday, and then my sister might be stopping in tonight too, because she took her oldest daughter over to River Falls, because she's going to transfer to River Falls because she has been talking about becoming a vet. And hopefully I can convince her to move into the area, and then she can become an AI tech and she can breed our cows. So we'll see how that works. We'll catch you guys tomorrow. All right, good morning. All right, we are out in the shop, or we're going to start out in the shop. The big accomplishment for today is getting corn ground. Hopefully we can maybe do a little yard cleanup, even if it's just north of the border, because we need to either get it on a pile in the yard or get it on a pile by the other pile. On the tractor, the 42 this morning, we need to put the steps back on. So this plate should be ready to rock and roll. Oh yeah, nice and dry. Got to get the tape off. We did put this stud on here because we put that on and these didn't turn out the greatest. We didn't really get in there with like a die grinder or anything to make them look pretty. You ain't going to see it anyways. But I'll show you on the steps. The steps have these two slots, and then they have a third slot. So then when we bolt this up, we'll have these two bolts, and then that stud is right there, so that the steps will be bolted in 3 spots. And then depending on which holes we want to actually bolt with, then we're going to have supports. And the reason to do that again was to put that plate on and give those steps some more rigidity. Basically stiffen that up to be as stiff as the 44. Not that it wasn't bad, it's just we could feel that little bit of sponge. And the other thing it does for us, it'll give us some flexibility if we want to mount this toolbox back on or a different one. We'll have a new location. We can either weld an adapter on there or bolt an adapter on, or whatever the frick we want. We'll be able to do it. We got the 42 down at the farm. As you can see, we got the steps back on. They are much stiffer. All right, so we're starting to get ready for grinding corn. Got our mix out of the barn, and then we're gonna go over and fill the gravity box. Kind of hoping we could have this all done before noon, but probably not gonna happen. All right, Dad's gonna get the gravity box in position. Nice thing is, we still have plenty of cob in here to make it easy to get our load. Probably this load and maybe 2 more will be pretty darn easy to get. Then I gotta crawl in there. That's the part I hate. I'm not gonna miss that. So Dad's gonna line up his way, and then I'll line him up on the center with the elevator. Good. 'Tis the time of year we have to start this auger up before we even put it together because of that. Starlings. Gotta love them. And then there's another one on the top side of the auger, but that's not as big a deal. It's that going through that transition that doesn't work. All right, we just got done with the lunch break. Dad is on his way. I just gave him grief for not being here yet. Looks like the cows are telling me they want water in this water tank because they tipped it over. So we'll fire that up. Then I'll fire up the 42 and hopefully that starts. I don't know if we really completely found the drawdown issue on that tractor, but I think we helped it. All right, that started up nice. I mean, we did run it for quite a while, so should have been nice and warm. The last time we did corn, we did change out the tips. So these are the, I don't know if they're necessarily, are these the ISOs, or we just call them the Pioneer tips because it's always Pioneer brand. They're not the John Deere tips. So probably gonna have to do that more and more, switching stuff back over, and we'll just use more of the adapters now because of this tractor. We'll see, don't know yet. All right, let's grind some fresh feed. We are using the 42, obviously. We put that little exhaust extension on there. And well, now we're burning the fresh paint off of it. I can smell it. But still got our same mix. That hasn't changed. One thing we did notice when we were putting corn in, from all the rain, the corn kind of stuck together a little bit in the corn crib. So there's going to be a little bit more moisture in this. Probably not enough to really affect it in the actual bin itself. So we just noticed it with the flowability out of the crib. So another thing I was able to do this last week or so, since our big snowstorm a month ago, which is actually the video I'm putting out today. What is today, the 19th? I was actually able, we had gotten a lot of buildup in our bunks, but this last week I was able, everybody got their bunks freshly cleaned out, finally. So it definitely, it does make a difference, and it just, that is, like I've said before, that is one downside to having this style of bunk. Because you get snow and then you get build up, and you know, it's hard to keep up with that kind of stuff. But we got them all cleaned out. That was good. The cows have licked theirs clean. Theirs is dry as a bone. So dumping out corn silage. Did notice little Jeff, one of our really nice bulls, is favoring his right rear again. So he had that little bit of an issue when he was a couple weeks old. It's like his right hock is swollen. So told Dad hopefully he gets over that and grows out of that problem, because if that's still kind of, that's like a chronic thing all summer long, then unfortunately he'll end up being a cut bull and he'll become a steer. So I need a bale upstairs for hay downstairs, so we're popping a shell. This is actually really nice hay, but we're popping the shell right where this is a naturally wet spot. So obviously as they're walking back and forth along the fence waiting for us to bring them feed every day, they kind of churn this up a little bit. So this is an excellent spot to throw out a shell, because not only is there good hay there for them to eat, there's a lot of good seed and all that stuff, so that when it dries up and cows aren't in there, stuff should start growing again pretty easily. Well, everybody is fed, and realized I didn't check the bull's water situation. So do that quick. Last thing on the list for the day. Oh yeah, that's a good thing I came over here. That is a dude. I think he would be like right up there with a lot of our other really good bulls that we've had. Starting to get into a little bit different pattern because, again, like I said, we are behind schedule. We're probably about 2 weeks behind on hauling manure. So it kind of is what it is. Can't change the weather. Even though we do have tractors with cabs now, it's still, you don't want to get buried. That's what it is. But I'm staring at the boys. They're enjoying their bedding a lot. And don't forget, 3 of those are bulls. The red one is a steer. We just wanted to keep this an even number, and then it also took a steer out of this crew out over here. So we brought the 301 over here. And then also on the list for this week, it is a very, 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 very good chance that Barb will calve by the end of this week. I don't think like early or mid, probably be like Friday. But hopefully it'd be pretty sweet. What are the actual days for this coming week? Oh, so I mean, technically, per the breed date that I have marked down, she's due next Saturday. So that would be, yeah, Thursday's the last day of the month. So yeah, hopefully by the end of this next week, she is done. She doesn't make it into May, and yeah, we can be done calving in April. That would be awesome. I think we did that last year, and that was the first time we ever got calving done in April. And it would be awesome to be able to do that again, even though she's a little bit later. But really, if she calves next week compared to the rest of them, this last third of our herd has just been really steady. And that's another idiot driving on the road. I mean, he's only doing like 80 miles an hour as he's passing somebody. I mean, it's no big deal. I guess that's enough rambling out of me. I still got a little bit to wait for this thing to fill up. So it is Sunday. It is the end of the day. I got to go in and quick finish a video and get that posted. And then Bethany and I got to run into town. We got to do some shopping, kind of our weekly thing. And then take a little bit of a chance to relax for an hour or two, and then start the work week back over again. So I hope you guys liked the video. Please hit that thumbs up button on your way out, and definitely if you got any questions, please leave them in the comments. And of course, don't forget to subscribe, help us support us here at Ohrmundt Simmentals. And as always, thanks for coming along.